Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
What's up, America? Y'all listen to the Sports Coma, your #1 podcast on sports, covering the Saints, the Pelicans, and a heck of a lot more. It's our August 14th, 2016 broadcast, and we're going to be covering a lot of stuff tonight. A lot of stuff, including a very controversial article that we'll cover in our second segment, entitled "Why Your Team Sucks" by Deadspin.com. I know a lot of people out there probably heard that, seen that article. Rest assured that we are on it. The Big Q and the guys, we're on it. And speaking of the guys, we got two really good ones on the mic tonight. We got DC and Suede. How y'all doing tonight, fellas?
I'm doing fine, brother.
Terrific.
I'm fantastic, man.
That's excellent, fellas. Excellent. Y'all guys sound like y'all in pretty good spirits tonight. So I'm gonna start off the broadcast by giving y'all some real good news. Dealing with Stephon Anthony. Sean Payton came out. Of course, you know Sean Payton. He does not require league rules to give you a list of injuries or what have you, or a time frame on players that's hurt. I know they love that rule. I know Bill Belichick does. But he spoke a couple days ago and said that the injury that sustained to Stephon Anthony in the preseason game against New England, where he was carted off before the right at the end of the first, right at the end of the second period, a quarter. And they expect him to come back a lot sooner than later. So that's good news for the Saints defense, that we'll have old Stephon Anthony back in there, man, because I was kind of worried at first, man, but it's good to see him getting that good news, man, that he'll be back. Also, in other news, we're going to talk about the additions of cornerback Cortland Finnegan. A lot of y'all probably remember Cortland Finnegan. He was the guy that got into the scrum with wide receiver Andre Johnson. Yeah, when he was at the Texans, and he gained a reputation of being a dirtbag. A lot of them call him a dirty player, and I think the correct term that many people use, they call him a dirtbag. But guess what? He's our dirtbag now, so you can like it or lump it. But we'll talk. Well, we use dirt, right? That's right. So we use dirt bags down here to dam back water, so that's not such a bad thing. But other news, we followed the game we covered in our last show. Coach Sean Payton had some good performances. He was able to go over the tape and look at some performances, and he gave a couple of good nods to a bunch of people that we spoke about on the podcast. Big love for Mike Thomas, of course. Eric Harris, special teams work, the safety. Defensive tackle Tyler Davison, man, just continues to just become a beast. Wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, the work that he performed. Kasim Edebali, the left end who had those multiple sacks, and plus he did a lot of other great stuff on tape. If you watch and follow Kasim's a work on every play. Also, punter Thomas Morstead, he was hurt last year, but he looks every bit of the part, his Pro Bowl form that he is again. Running back Marcus Murphy is really taking on, man. I mean, he's really starting to really ingratiate himself to the role that he's provided, which is that utility back role that I think all three of those guys are fighting for. C.J. Spiller, Marcus Murphy, and Suede's favorite, Travaris Cadet, all fighting for that utility role player. And also, he mentioned Garrett Grayson after the interception. He bounced back. But go ahead, fellas. I'm going to give y'all an opportunity to chime in on a couple of these stories. Give me y'all take on Sean Payton's call on some of these players during the game. You agree with them, disagree with them? What's your take? We're going to start with you, DC.
I definitely agree with him, because a lot of those guys we already talked about before the game even happened. But I was a little puzzled at hearing Eric Harris first, but he did do well on special teams. But I noticed he missed a few plays out there, blew a few coverages. But a lot of the other guys he mentioned, man, he was dead on. I've been a big Tommy Lee Lewis guy before the game ever happened. Kasim Edebali, I felt like he was poised to do what he did. Tyler Davison is another one. We've been seeing that guy coming up, and I think he missed a few guys, I ain't hear anything about P.J. Williams. He's been playing pretty good, man. You know, one of the better cornerbacks we had out there.
True. Very
during
true.
that preseason game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Peyton was saying, and a lot of the guys that he mentioned, we talked about them already. You know, Peyton, we told you. You understand? I hate to toot our own horn, but deep, you have associate Eric Harris. You know, played a pretty satisfactory game, if I'm going to say so. It was pretty good. I don't think it was that much for me, you know. I guess you're trying to give him a spotlight, you know, give him a stand out to let him know he's doing an extra, pretty, you know, fairly good job. And that's it, man.
What's your thoughts on Cortland Finnegan, Swade? We'll start with you.
Man, look, let me tell you something about Cortland Finnegan, man. When I first saw Cortland Finnegan, he was getting washed up by Andre Johnson, right? And I was like, man, that dude there he looked like the Dennis Rodman of cornerbacks, you know what I'm saying? Because he's able to get under the receiver's skin. You know what I'm saying? And agitate him, and he's a pretty damn good cornerback. You know, and when I saw that, I said, man, the Saints really don't get players like that. When I first saw that, lo and behold, years later, here's Cortland Finnegan right here in New Orleans, you know. And I'm glad that we have him. I think we need that on that defensive squad. Somebody's that's not scared to agitate that offense, to agitate a receiver and get in his face, you know, and knows how to play hella defense. I also see with that with Keenan Lewis on the sideline, that veteran aspect of the cornerback position is very well needed.
Okay, DC, how about you? What you think about Finnegan?
My take on Cortland Finnegan, man, I think more than anything, he brings with him an identity. He has passion. This little guy is aggressive, and I think our defense needs that, especially our secondary, man. When you think about it, we got a lot of good guys out there, but they're kind of quiet. I wouldn't say timid.
Yeah.
Like they're scary at all. But they just not, you know, just a little something missing. And I think Cortland Finnegan might bring that type of identity and just rile people up, man. Have them running around playing a little more aggressively and like Sway said, getting under some of the receivers' skin, man.
Yeah.
You know, tell them something, get in their ear, agitate them a bit, get them off of their game. And stop, not necessarily have to react to what they doing, but they trying to react to what you do.
Right.
You get players that play like that, and then you can have that type of attitude with a team. You can have a defense that has the mentality to attack. And
that's right.
That's right. Turnovers, man.
Well,
you know what? And I'm with all good sportsmanship and all that crap right there. But the worst thing I hate seeing a team picking up the opponent off the ground. Man, that burns me up. I can't stand that. I just knock you down. I just damage you, and I'm going to help you get off the field, do that grinds my gears. So I don't think that's the kind of play, like you said, DC.
Yeah, I don't see him picking nobody up.
Right, I don't see him picking nobody up. Let's get on him. And I just love this pickup. I love this acquisition.
Cortland Finnegan, man, he's a 5'10", 190-pound cornerback. He's a little guy, 10 seasons out of Samford. Career stats, totals, tackles. He had 542 tackles, 7 sacks, but 18 INTs. And he had his first camp the other day in the drill. And guess what he did? Jumped in front of a ball and made his first interception. So the guy has a definite nose for the ball. That's what James Laurinaitis played with him a season when he was in St. Louis. And he did give him those accolades that Cortland Finnegan is a guy that is very competitive and a guy that is not a pushover. Is a guy that has that kind of on the edge of confidence and cocky, but it's definitely, you can call him whatever you want, but you can add in there that the guy is obviously a ball hawk. And that kind of segues us into our next discussion, our next topic, which is breaking down the cornerback position. It's kind of interesting because now we can look at it and say, okay, well, you're adding Cortland Finnegan. I don't believe you're going to bring Finnegan in here and then cut him by 4 weeks unless he totally stinks. That's never been his MO. I think he's one of those guys that's pretty smart that can catch on and come in and make plays. quite evidence his play in camp by making an interception on his first camp visit. So first day at camp. So that's not a bad maneuver. And like I said, but you look at it, what does this mean? The addition of Cortland Finnegan. I love the acquisition, mind you. But what does it mean to this cornerback situation tied to Keenan Lewis? Let's address that. Go ahead, DC.
Well, I think it gives us more depth, man, and we may be considering sitting Keenan Lewis down until he's 100%. As you know, Keenan Lewis came out and made a statement and said that he's not going to come back if he doesn't feel he's at least 90%. Because he's done that in the past, and he hasn't been able to get to his full form. So
hey, DC. DC, let's get Keenan Lewis to up that to 100%. We don't need you to come back until it's 100%, Keenan. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue, DC.
Well, Cortland Finnegan out there, man, that could very well be the case. You have Delvin Broke that can hold the fort down as the number one. He did it last year. And then we have a lot of our young guys. P.J. Williams, we got Damian Swan, who I think will be back.
Yes.
We just added Cortland Finnegan so he can fill in at that nickel spot.
Yes.
And then we got a bunch of these other guys competing to get on those other 3 or 4 spots that I think are pretty good but had a rough day. Ken Crowley, Devontae Harris,
Jimmy Pruitt.
Kenny Pruitt. I might be messing his name up.
Yeah, Jimmy Pruitt.
We have a lot of opportunistic players out there, and I think they're going to have a lot better showing their second preseason game. So with the addition of Cortland Finnegan and the people that we already have, if Keenan Lewis does sit down, I think that puts us in fantastic shape.
What's your take, Sway?
Right. Well, another thing I feel is a good reason why they picked up Finnegan. For the simple fact, he did play 5 games last year for the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
But, can possibly give you kind of some insight. I don't know, they may have thought of that. I would have been thinking of that. Give me some kind of insight on how that defense is being set up or what's going on over there in Carolina. Another thing, you have Delvin Breaux and you have PJ, who are going to be your starters at the beginning of the year. With the addition of Cortland Finnegan, you may be having PJ fight for that position, and they may just be filling him just because of the fact that Keenan Lewis is injured. Or they just may not have that much confidence in Ken Crawley, or they may not have that much confidence in P.J. Williams for now, and feel that they need to plug that spot in by Cortland Finnegan.
Okay. That's interesting takes.
Who's going to play opposite of Devin Breaux, but when Keenan Lewis does come back, and he will at 100%, that'll be right, like you. Maybe when you have Cortland Finnegan, then you'll have Keenan Lewis playing opposite of each other.
I think I kind of take a little bit from both y'all takes. My perspective, maybe I lean toward DC a little bit more on the term, on the way of what we're talking about with Keenan Lewis. I think Cortland Finnegan exists in this situation because Keenan Lewis is not anticipated to be ready to go at 100%. And I think after the last 2 years of multiple surgeries, dealing with his hips and knees, and if you notice, man, we've talked about this before in prior shows. He's built like a ballerina, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But if you look at his legs, he has very skinny legs, and he has very skinny legs, and he keeps getting these injuries in his legs. And I don't think that Keenan Lewis should have played the situation when he had that problem. He had that swelled foot that time. He played on it, and he just hadn't been able to rebound from those nagging injuries. So I say we sit him down, maybe pup list him. He might not like it, but good thing it ain't up to the players to decide whether or not they get on the pup list. It's up to the coaches. But I think you pup list him. You run. I think if Cortland Finnegan, to me, he's good enough to challenge for the second spot. Maybe he can beat PJ on PJ Williams at the second spot, slide him down to nickel box.
They may be comfortable with P.J. Williams because Cortland Finnegan doesn't really play on the outside late in his career. He's just playing a lot of slot work. So I think we are comfortable in one of those cornerbacks. Sean Payton also is going to decide who that is. But I see Cortland Finnegan as a nickelback. Right,
yeah, that could be a possibility. We'll address more of it on the other side of the break. We're coming up to our first commercial break. You're rapping with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We talking Saints. We'll finish up our discussion topic on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
When winter is gone, so spring on over to We've Got It, your low-price, high-class leader. That's right, come in now and take advantage of our everyday bundle deals on any 3 bundles. 12 to 16 inches, $130. 18 to 22 inches, $155. And 24 to 30 inches, $185. We've Got It. 495 Voters Road in Slidell. 985-445-1400. That's 985-445-1400.
I'm the flyest in the world. I'm the flyest in the world. I'm the flyest in the world. Who you know that's better than me? Nobody.
Be the playmaker. Madden NFL 16. Game not yet rated.
Hey, I'm Paul, and I used to ask if you could hear me now with Verizon. Not anymore. I'm with Sprint now, because guess what? It's 2016 and every network is great. In fact, Sprint's reliability is now within 1% of Verizon. And Sprint saves you 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. So I switched to Sprint, and millions more have too. Can you hear that?
Don't let a 1% difference cost you twice as much. Switch to Sprint today.
What up, America? This Big Q from the Sports Coma, letting you know that you can follow us and the guys on Facebook, All Saints and Pelican fans, also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Sports Coma. You can also download our podcast at podbean.com. So check us out for all the intense and entertainment talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a hell of a lot more. Only at the Sports Coma, you heard me?
Get ready, New Orleans. It's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
I ain't gonna say it no more.
We back off a break. You listen to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We're covering that Saints talk, going into our second segment. Before we continue our talk, I'd like to make mention of one of our sponsors, PoshLife.com, PoshLifestyle.com. Good suppliers of water filters, organic supplements, anything from body cleansers to multivitamins. We also have healing magnetics, healing crystals, clothing, jewelry, a little bit of everything. Posh Lifestyle offers free shipping on orders over $100 on most items. So please feel free to go and shop with the good guys. Check them out. PoshLifestyle.com. It's shop, SHOP, Posh Lifestyle, lifestyle spell. Life is spelled with LYFE, lifestyle.com. And their slogan is love what you do. And we love what we do here at the Sports Coma. We appreciate you for checking us out and joining us tonight. Also, we'd like to give a big shout out, the Sports Coma and Big Q and the guys like to give a nice Sports Coma shout out to all those people listening to our podcast in the Netherlands, in France, Belgium, and now Turkey. We thank y'all guys for joining us. Continue to spread the word. We appreciate the support. And let's get back into our show. We were talking before the break about the cornerback situation and how Cortland Finnegan, our latest acquisition, will play a role in deciding what happens with the cornerback position. We let Swade, you can chime in. What do you think? What do you think how that's will play? What's happening with Keenan Lewis? Will we pup list Keenan all the way to the 8 list, or 8 week, or what's going on here? What's your take?
I have no idea about what they're going to do or what should they do with Keenan Lewis. I love Keenan Lewis, you know what I'm saying? You know, he's good like a ballerina, like you said, but that's cold-blooded, you know what I'm saying? I think he should.
I said, I meant no disrespect.
No disrespect, but I like that. He kind of made me chuckle. I think he should. He should sit aside. I don't think they should put him on the pup list, man.
Well, I think probably with the acquisition of Cortland Finnegan, it might be I mean, you're not bringing in a guy that's just going to be a fourth cornerback. Obviously, he's going to compete. Like DC says, he like him at the nickel position. That's what Carolina Panthers did with him. That's what a couple of the previous teams did with him. He hadn't been a starter at that other position for so many years. Matter of fact, he retired last year before deciding to come back to Carolina to help them in that nickel position that they made a run to the Super Bowl last year. So maybe that good fortune to kind of shine off on the Saints, but I see it as a pup list move. Maybe they can save the slot for him. I can see possibly the Saints keeping 6. They're gonna definitely keep 6 slots at the cornerback position. Maybe one of the young men the odds out, but hopefully if keep my ideas, and I don't know if you guys you correct me if you don't agree with me, but I believe that Keenan Lewis should not be activated to play unless he is 100% based on the last 2 years of injuries.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Okay, let's take this out. Let's jump topics and let's talk about the Saints offensive line position. That seems to be the big stink on the block as far as what we talk about. Now, guys, how I feel about it. I was quite animated about it the last show when we talked about the Andrews Pete situation. DC, you made a lot of waves with the Sean Payton comment that Streif might have pictures of him or something on him or whatever. But as it stands, it appears that Sean Payton is setting his lineup, his offensive lineup. The offensive line is set as it appears. And as at left tackle, we know it's going to be Armstead. Have no problem with that. Left guard is Tim Lolito. I have a big problem with that. Center is Max Unger. Right guard is Andrews Pete. And right tackle is the awesome, untouchable Zach Streif. You guys give me your takes on this situation. Do you agree with the offensive lineup? If you don't, tell me your disagreements. We're going to start with you, Swade.
Let's start with DC.
Go ahead, DC.
Go ahead, DC. Yeah, listen. I got to hear this one.
Man, you know I don't agree with this. In the first round, at the 13th pick, to play tackle. We never wanted to play tackle.
Yes.
Why? Zach Streif has been nothing short of barely serviceable. I don't get it, man. I was saying about the dirt being on Sean Payton, man. I don't know, man. It doesn't make any logical sense. Because Andrews Pete, he hasn't been a perfect player, but he definitely shows potential. And I think he played real good when he was given a chance at tackle. Now, why would we slide him at guard, a position that he never really played? Makes no sense to me. We have Clemente at right guard, and then we got Tim Lolito over here, and I don't know. I really don't see much with him, but at least they can hide him in between Tyron Armstead and Max Unger. But why is Zach Streif still right there? It's just puzzling.
I got you. I feel you, and the crazy part is, even with you have Armstead, you have Streif, and then they put Pete second to both. I really wouldn't feel as comfortable with Zach Streif because I remember Zach Streif was the reason I think Breeze got injured last year. Something happened to Breeze, or with his rotator cuff, if I'm not mistaken, and there was a slip by Zach Streif.
Yes.
I really don't feel comfortable with Streif or Pete up in this, and maybe. Which I'm not going to down a Finnegan move, but along with that, maybe you should go out there and get that, like, a nice one-year professional, heavy-duty lineman that'll definitely smash Streif and Pete at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. Well,
it makes sense, man.
It makes sense.
Untouchable Zach Streif, the Godfather, might have called the hit on True Breeze last year. I don't know.
Well, the funny part.
Preseason games, man. They saying it's set, but let's see how these 3 games.
Well, he did. Well, Zach Streif did catch a touchdown in the gadget play that they ran. As I don't know if that's something they anticipate using him as a role, but they did do that. In terms of what I think with Zach Streif, you know how I feel. I'm well documented on that. I think that this year they didn't allow any strong competition to compete against Zach Strief. He's in his 11th season out of Northwestern, a 7th-round pick, 210th by New Orleans. Obviously, he's Sean Payton's has to be a real favorite of Payton's, because last year he got beat in a couple of games against division rivals, which he had a couple of 3-sack games that really a couple of them that were just awful. And it's not the fact that we don't like Zach Strief. I think Zach Strief is an incredible, nice guy. I think he's one of the more classier guys on the team. But the problem is with Zach Strief is 11 seasons, and you need a guy on the tackle position, especially the right tackle, who is speedy enough to guard against and block some of the fastest defensive linemen in the league. That'll be peeling off of that side of the ball for Drew Brees. Zach Strief does not have the same capabilities to play at that right tackle position that he did 4 or 5 years ago. He's lost steps. He's had injuries with his knees. And I think it's time for Zach Strief, if you really want, and this is my opinion, if you really want Zach Strief to stay on the starter's role on your offensive line, Coach Sean Payton, what you need to do is consider moving him to right guard and allowing Andrews Pete to play right tackle.
That might make some sense.
That will make a lot more sense than moving Pete to right guard and keeping Strief there when you need Pete's athleticism on the tackle position. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, that makes sense to put Pete over there. He's way more faster. I mean, but to sum it up with all of these two, I don't think none of them, they couldn't even block people on Facebook, you ask me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He can't even block people on.
They say nice guys finish last. Bullshit.
Yeah, you're right. Zach Strief is definitely a guy, and we hope that he actually, I don't know. I just don't see it. I think he's declining. I think he needs to be replaced. That's what Pete was drafted here last year to do, to replace him. But obviously, Sean Payton fell in love with him again for whatever reason and decided to want to keep him there. But anyway, let's move from Zach Strief to another lineman I think is way worse than Zach Strief.
One more question.
Go ahead, sir. I think Landon Turner is a guy that we got in the undrafted guys. Landon Turner was a guy that came. He's an All-American guard from North Carolina. He had a 3rd or 4th round grade on him. He fell all the way out the draft, and the Saints were able to pick him up as an undrafted free agent, which they signed him and the future, which I believe that Max Unger is serving his. This is just inside talk for me. Is that I believe Max Unger will not be re-signed, because guess what? The Saints do not pay their centers. All them true Saints fans know this to be true, and that Jack Allen would eventually be the guy that replace him, who's also an All-American guy, a center from Michigan State. So I believe Landon Turner, to me, should be given an opportunity to be able to play at one of those guards positions. I just don't see why he's not given an opportunity to compete against the likes of Tim Lelito or Calamente. This is an All-American guard. All-American guard out of North Carolina. He's played against some stiff competition. Now, he's not the best pass blocker, but he's a roll-grade run blocker, and they need a guy with those tools on that line where you got Mr. Skates, I call him, Tim Lelito, who looked like people just pushing him around like he wearing a pair of roller skates. But we also got other people there. We also got other guys on the offensive line that could be given an opportunity to play. How about Cyril Lemon? Lemon, this is his 2nd year with the team. He was pretty good last year. Haven't heard too much from Cyril Lemon this year. But it's just amazing to me how the decision was made to group Tim Lelito and Calamente to compete for the left guard position and move Andrews Pete, who was in direct competition with the Godfather, Zach Strief, to move him to right guard. It's just asinine. I think it's the stupidest thing ever. It's very foolish. And of course, then there's trade rumors that they're trying to acquire the left guard from the Dallas Cowboys, Ronald Leary. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know if the Saints got the resources to pull it off, or the cap room for that matter. But they got talent on the team.
Prescott was linked up a bit. I don't think they want the wrong backup quarterback for much.
Well, that might be the case. But we about to go off and go into break, and we'll be back to return with a lot of guys to kind of give their comments and their takes on the offensive line and a few other things. In the next segment, we'll complete that, and we'll talk about this article from Deadspin.com, how your team sucks, and some pretty nasty stuff in there. We'll get to it. We'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Nah, man. I'm not retiring.
I'll still break that old man's ankles.
I'm still gonna knock down turnaround jumpers all day.
That ain't changing.
Man, I drop threes on him all night long.
All night.
All night.
I'll drain threes on you all night.
Man, I dropped 82 on you.
I've been Kobe for like 14 years.
I've been him for 16 years.
I won like 15 championships.
I've been Kobe for as long as I can remember.
Dude, you're 8.
Nah, man. I'm not retiring.
I hate Kobe Bryant.
I love that Mamba face.
I hate that Mamba face.
I'll dunk on fools.
I'll still hate Kobe Bryant. I'm still gonna hate him.
He's not done.
This doesn't change a thing.
I am Kobe.
I am Kobe.
I am Kobe Bryant.
I'll still be Kobe Bryant.
Product not yet rated.
The 6, Raptors, Diamond, Key, New Ride, Old Ride, Bad Times, Good Times, Young Money, New Money, OVO, 29, 29, 29, Best I Ever Had, Worst Behavior, Old Crib, New Crib, October, Sound, Festival, Album Time Again or Acting Time Again, My Friend, My Friends, Younger Me, Older Me, Me as Manny, Me as Jimmy, Me as Drake.
What up, America? This Big Q from the Sports Coma, letting you know that you can follow us and the guys on Facebook, All Saints and Pelican fans, also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Sports Coma. You can also download our podcast at podbean.com. So check us out for all the intense and entertainment talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a hell of a lot more. Only at the Sports Coma, you heard me? We back on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We following up on our last segment. We was talking about the offensive line woes. I mean woes, real woes. But to our thing, I think Sean Payton feels confidence in his offensive line as set as it is. And me honestly, being that we following this team as well, I don't see what you see, Sean. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think you have some very good talent at the guard position. I like Cyril Lemon. I like Langdon Turner. I mean, why can't they get a little scrap in there? Although I didn't hear, I heard the first things from Langdon Turner. I haven't heard too much from Cyril Lemon. But hey, I did see a lot from Tim Lolito, and I see a lot of skate work. But we gonna talk about some other things as well. We're gonna let the guys talk about the rest of that. And let me address this quick. Keenan Lewis, you know I love you. The Sports Coma loves Keenan Lewis, but we just keeping it real here. We voicing our opinions and our comments. I think Keenan Lewis, when it's all said and done, will probably be one of the top 5 best Saints that ever played. Love his intensity. Love his football acumen and the things that he brings. He's a guy, a confident, gutty guy. He's a New Orleans guy. He's born and raised here. He had to fight through the trenches. We love Keenan Lewis. The ballerina comment is just keeping it real, brother, man. But let's go to let's cover the offensive line comments based upon what I just made mention of, Mr. Skates, Tim Lolito. What are y'all comments on that? We're gonna start with you, DC.
Yeah, I feel good, man. I think you pretty much covered it all. You kind of spoke my mind on some of the younger talent we have, and I didn't understand why they didn't get any opportunity to beat. But another thing that I do realize, and since I've been following the Saints with the Drew Brees, Sean Payton era, is the system kind of sets our lineup to be a little successful because Drew Brees doesn't normally hold the ball in his hand too long. So hopefully, if Sean Payton does keep this lineup that we disagree with, we can lean on that and hold our hats on the fact that on the ball will be gone about 2 seconds. So.
What'd you think, Sweet?
I definitely, I'm with both of y'all. Y'all pretty much said it all and summed it up in a nutshell, man.
We're going to go into our next item. Very interesting article out there. First of all, let me advise sports fans across there, especially our Saints and Pelicans fan about this potential article was brought to our attention by DC. It's a Deadspin article. It's from Deadspin.com. It's an article entitled "Why Your Team Sucks," which it's kind of a weird name to call your teams, but it's pretty much a guy, a writer by the name of what's this guy's name? Drew Magary. Drew Magary is a guy that's pretty much, and he names not just the Saints. He's not taking it personal. The Saints, he's doing all of the NFL teams and telling you from city to city why your team sucks. Not too much for a true Saints fan. It kind of tease them off a little bit. But we're gonna cover this article for the rest of this segment and maybe into the next one. But some of the highlights, or should I say the lowlights, of this article is pretty interesting. He speaks about a few things. The first thing he makes mention of, and I'm just going to take a few things from the article. If you want to read it, you can read it. Go to Google it and go from his site and read it yourself. But we're going to just give you a boil down of what it is. And from what I'm looking at, it's pretty enticing, man. Let's see. He speaks about arguing. He makes mention of the fact about Rob Ryan. He calls him the Wolf Man, which is pretty funny. He refers to Rob Ryan as the Wolf Man and says, and actually shows maybe like a 10-second loop, maybe a 5 or 6 second loop of Sean Payton and Rob Ryan arguing on sideline, and said that he got rid of the Wolf Man, and speaks about the arguing and back and forth about Payton and Rob Ryan. Goes on and to really hammer in on Coach Payton, saying we should have traded him to Dallas, that he's beyond his expiration date, and we should have gotten rid of him. Should have traded him to Dallas when we had the chance, as opposed to load him up with a $9 million contract, another dose of $9 million, and pretty much that he's living off the one Super Bowl that he brought here. And describes the defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, who replaced the Wolf Man in his own terms, as too cowardly to talk back to Peyton. That's a real interesting take to have on it. He also discusses Drew Brees and says he has the personality of, as I quote, a bag of Scott's turf builder. Scott's turf builder. Drew Brees has the personality of Scott's turf builder. Really. Drew Brees. Drew Brees has the personality of a bag of Scott turf builder, for real, dude. But that's not it. Let's go some more into Magary's article on our team. He also makes mention of Tom Benson and said it's actually pretty funny. I kind of chuckled at this one. That Benson, he said he was too busy disowning half the state, and he left $0 in his kids' trust and accused them of trying to kill his wife. And also, remember, he said they was trying to kill him as well. That was actually kind of funny to me, because we followed that dysfunction between the Benson family and what was going on between Benson and his wife, how he wanted them to have nada, zilch. And also outside of that, this guy he got quite personal, not just with the Saints, but with the city of New Orleans, and referred to the city of New Orleans as America's barf bag. America's barf bag. The city of New Orleans. I ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus, but America's barf bag for New Orleans, we ain't exactly the best, but I don't know. They got other cities I think a little worse than us. You know, a lot worse than the city of New Orleans. But also, he talked about the Saints and Falcons rivalry. The Saints and Falcons rivalry, and said that no one gives in pardon my French and Spanish and Portuguese, nobody gives a shit about the rivalry, and referred to as Thursday night, and I quote, football kitty litter. It's the Falcons and Saints rivalry, a spirited rivalry between two real focus opponents for some time now, is referred to as, really, dude? Thursday night football kitty litter? Huh? Seriously? How about something with Cleveland in it? What rivalry Cleveland has with Baltimore? Now that's fucking that's to me, that's Thursday night kitty litter. How about Baltimore and Cleveland, not Atlanta and New Orleans, which is always competitive games. And let me give you some more. Just one more before I and there's others, but I'm gonna let the guys get to it and let them get their comments. But we're gonna call this one. Calls some of our Saints fans redneck shitburgers who never went to school because the state of Louisiana will only spend tax money on the stormtrooper uniforms for the highway patrolmen. Now, there's more, but before I get off into more, let the guys comment on the bevy of bull jive that Maggery just flung on us. DC, what's your take on the crap load of spectacular bull jive that I just gave to you?
Man, I can only imagine the type of life this dude has, man.
This dude has no life, man.
This nigga probably is writing this article from somebody's bathroom he written. I mean, he's just dumb, man. Like, I mean, the attack people in the way he did, it's mind-boggling, man. Like, our fans are redneck shitburgers, really? I went home. I don't even think he ever been to New Orleans. And if he did come, and people knew who he was, and he wrote this article, I think they'll make him eat them words.
What's your take on the comment about Dennis Allen being too scared or too cowardly to talk back to Sean Payton on the sidelines? What's your comment on that? What you think about that?
Man, I think that's baloney. To me, Dennis Allen and Sean Payton are more similar type dudes, man. Sean Payton seems to be real laid back unless he get mad, but anybody, they get mad, get a little fired up. That's trash, man. Dennis Allen been down here. What, he was with us when we won the Super Bowl. He was a part of the staff for a long time, man. So that's complete nonsense. The dude's pulling, he's writing an article just trying to get a few views and, shirt a few chains, man. I guess get some more attention.
Sway, what's your comment? What's your thoughts on referring to the city of New Orleans as America's barf bag? Then the following sentence he had, Will Smith was killed. What's your comments on this comment about the city of New Orleans as being America's barf bag? What you think about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know where he took it from. So, I always try to look for the good in people. So, if you say ball bag, I'm going to go ahead and guess because you come down here, you party a lot, and you throw them down here a lot. So, I'm going to just take it as that before I go off the deep end. But what is pretty much out of line is bringing Will Smith's murder into that whole situation. And that wasn't funny. It made no sense to do that. And that was very tasteless and classy.
It was very tasteless. What's your No, go ahead. Finish up on your thought.
Oh, well, no, what this article did, I'm going to take as this article as bringing attention, and which it is clever because we are talking about it, it did get attention. But what I cannot sit here and let you do, my brother, is bash my dirty ass city without busting back at your stupid tall head looking behind Mr. Maggery. See, we're talking about the Benson family issues, but let's not forget that, sir, that your son is also your nephew. Let's talk about, you call Drew Brees, my brother, has the personality of Scott's Turf Builder.
Yes.
Now, I don't even know what that is, but I tell you what, though, I don't think it was nice. Okay? This dude also called us, said the city was full of redneck shit burgers.
Yes.
Little does he know we have ghetto shit burgers as well. So you need to get your facts together, okay, Mr. Maggery?
Well, let me ask you this way. What's your comments on his comments about the Saints and Falcons rivalries? Quote saying no one gives a shit about the rivalry and referred to it as Thursday night football kitty litter. What's your thoughts on the Saints-Falcon rivalry comment?
Well, you know what, and to be totally honest, man, I talked to you before as well. I watched the NFL's best rivalries, and no, the Saints and Falcons were not on that. But you and I knew that is the best rivalry besides Southern and Grambling. The Saints and the Falcons, you're going to get a whole heap of New Orleans people going to Atlanta, or Atlanta coming to New Orleans, and it's going down. Maybe he's from like Augusta, Maine or something. I don't know.
Well, let me Sway, you're absolutely right. I don't know where the fella from, but we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna let you finish your thought on the other side of the break. We're about to go into our commercial. We're going to finish on the other side of the break. But yes, it's a very intriguing comment. We got some more to get into it, too. Some more comments on it. Then we'll talk a little Pelican news as well when we return on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Stay with us.
Hey, this Sway. I'm about to tune you in. I'll cue you into your one-stop online shop for all your health essentials. Your vitamins, your water filters, healing magnetics, hygiene products, healing crystals, and jewelry. For all this and more, just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
There's no one road out there. No one surface. No one speed. No one way of driving on each and every road. But there is one car that can conquer them all. The Mercedes-Benz C-Class. 5 driving modes let you customize the steering, shift points, and suspension to fit the mood you're in and the road you're on. The 2016 C-Class, starting at $38,950.
Is it true Ciroc vodka makes the best flavors in the world? Take one sip of the lush wildness of Ciroc Red Berry. One taste of the intense ripeness of Ciroc Peach. Even one drop of the explosive freshness of Ciroc Coconut. And the truth will come to your lips. Ciroc Ultra Premium flavors. One sip is all it takes to taste true perfection. Available in Red Berry, Coconut, and Peach. Ciroc, nothing tastes better than the truth.
Bud Light Party believes in change. That's why Bud Light has a new look, and we want to share it with everyone. From our national parks to our furthest shores, jackpot, to your living room. Look under your seats! Still the same refreshing Bud Light with a new look.
Whether you talking about football or not, you can talk about football. This is a free country. But when you get into talking about the city of New Orleans, and how it's a barf bag and it's a dirty city and it's full of rednecks or whatever the case is, you go outside the football, the sports limitations, and it becomes something else. We coming back. We back on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We're discussing some article from Deadspin.com. Why your team sucks. Go ahead, Swade. Make your comment about that article from the break.
I was just saying, you're right. You know, but I can say things about that because I live here. This is my city where I was born and raised. I'll be there when somebody else from outside here does my city. That's just how I feel about it. And I mean, I just looked up some images from this guy, Mr. Magary, and he has a long forehead just like Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning is from New Orleans.
I see he got something coming, man. He looked like a little horse head little fella, man. That's why he's so mad, man. He walking around with a head that big all the time, you know.
Right.
A lot of stuff on your shoulders.
He got a lot of stuff on his shoulders, man.
Right.
You know, man.
Well, in that case, I guess we can give him a pass to a degree. But let me go. Let's get into the rest of his article. Of course, like I said, we're not gonna comment on the entire article. If you want to read it, you can go to Deadspin.com. The article is tired Why Your Team Sucks 2016. He's not just picking on the Saints. He's making in fairness, he's talking about all the teams in the NFL and why your team sucks. Which he could easily wrote an article on why your team doesn't suck. But I'm pretty sure writing a negative article will get more attention than one that is positive. So obviously that's why he wrote it. But on the
attention whore.
Yes, but we looking at on the weather comment. He made a comment that I wrote down. I found kind of he talked about the weather. Said it's hot and miserable. It's a hot and miserable, hopeless state that remains horribly overcrowded, with fat racists and liberals, Northeast transplants in desperate search of soul cred. Now, I don't know if that's football related. I don't know where to put that at. I know where I should put it at conservative maggery. But in the interest of being a professional, give me your comments on this article overall. I mean, please feel free to express yourselves. We're gonna start with you, DC. All the comments. Drew Brees comment on me about his personality being that of Scott's turf builder. That's a fertilizer. It's obviously fertilizer. You spread around on the ground to help stuff grow. It's fertilizer. Which your fertilizer, I guess you can assimilate that for another term for dung. Yes. Well, I don't know if it's the same company, but I know they do make fertilizer, and that's what he's referring to Drew Brees' personality as fertilizer, which could be you could compare that to obviously fertilizer and dung are pretty much the same thing. But I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think Drew Brees is one of the most personable guys that we have. He's a guy that has done a good job of keeping his name clean. He's a guy that participates in the community events. He's a guy that's a team first guy. He doesn't do anything that he's not going to tell you to do. And Drew Brees might not be perfect, but Drew Brees is a very good person. He's a good businessman. He has not shown me to be an irresponsible, underhanded person. I don't personally know Drew Brees, but from what we know as a football player and how he carries himself, he's been nothing but class and a true ambassador of the game. So you guys tell me, what do you think overall on these very intriguing comments from Mr. Maggery's article? Start with you, Sweet.
I'm almost full of Mike Tyson. It's ludicrous. It's just ludicrous. You can call it a Stephen A. Smith now. It's ludicrous. But I think Mr. Mallory, he had a very bad experience down here, man. I don't know if he was walking through the French Quarter and we had a couple of police trying to ride him or something. His head being as big as a horse. Why would you say something so negative outside of football? It's all about, truth and facts. It just seems like he took a little extra step to go an extra mile with us. So I'm going to take the high road. I know my previous comments about him I haven't been, but I think he just got some deep-rooted issues with our city and our state, man. He probably had something happen to him out here not to his liking, and I'm pretty sure he brought it on himself with that type of attitude.
Go ahead, Sweet.
Nothing. I was actually looking at the Sean Payton comment that he made, that he couldn't believe that he was still here for 7 straight seasons after winning his 1 Super Bowl and the Saints handed him $9 million, and even the 85 Bears think this man is dining on a single championship more than he deserves. And I'm kind of thinking, because I like to look at things from both perspectives. Man, do any of you guys feel that, Peyton is kind of declining?
Nah,
no.
He got the number 1, number 2 offense the last 10 years.
Yes.
True.
He just needs a defense, and I think we got it.
Defensive unit, bro.
You're right.
I agree.
We probably been in the playoffs the last 4 times that we missed. So,
which I can agree. So with that year with him having Greg Williams, they won the Super Bowl because he had the defense and all. They got the turnovers, got everything that we needed. So you're saying he
really messed us up. There's no mention of that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of him personally at all. I'm just saying I like to think of it from both perspectives. Is he kind of? Do you think he's not deserving of his money? Do you think he's declining? I wouldn't get rid of him.
No.
Do you think that if Peyton and Drew Brees left the Saints, that it would be a dark hole and it would be the brink of destruction? He
made mention of that too in his
yes, he did.
Right.
He covered. He made some comments about.
I agree with that.
There's certain things that we agree about, football related issues that we definitely agree about. That he made valid points. He did enough to make the article valid, so you wouldn't write it off as trash or some type of hit article. but he did some research, and he did make some valid points. It's just the other points about the Boff bag and the Will Smith comments, all that stuff is uncalled for. But let's switch gears. We know that Sean Payton's had his time here. We know Drew has his time, but I think there's still some value there. I still think there's a lot of to be done. But let's switch gears. Let's go to let's talk a little Pelican talk. Dealing with the Pels. We're gonna start with you, DC, because we know.
I'm sorry, bro.
Now, if you look at the Pels, did make some acquisitions, a couple acquisitions free agency wise. They did pick up center Robert Sacre, who used to be played for the Los Angeles Lakers, 7-footer. Chris Copeland comes over from the Indiana Pacers. He's Solomon Hill's teammate at one time. He was with the Knicks before, then the Pacers. A guy that can shoot the three, kind of long, maybe 6'8", 6'9", guy that can maybe help on the defensive end. Pretty decent defensive. I know he can shoot the three. And then Sean Dawson, a forward out of Israel team. The team signed up a couple of prospects that can help add to the depth of the team. Trying some stuff, adding a few talents, see if they can gel with what Elvin Gentry is producing here. And not only that, but we talking about an article that was written by BasketballInsiders.com that's covering the Pelicans, talking about the Southwest Division and ranking the Pelicans dead last, number 5 behind San Antonio, which is number 1, number 2, Memphis Grizzlies, number 3, Houston Rockets, number 4, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Pels sit 5th place in the Southwest Division according to BasketballInsiders.com ranking. DC. Do you agree with the rankings, or what have you? What do you think? We switch it up a bit.
You said was Houston number 2?
Houston's number 3.
Number 3. Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. I don't agree with the rankings at all, man. I see San Antonio number 1, Memphis number 2, and I think we could be as high as number 3 or 4 at least. I don't understand Houston would be in front of us, because this team just seems to be in a total dead spin collapse, man. Then they signed 2 players that we obviously didn't want, and they're going over there, and then they're deeming them better than us. So I don't agree with that, but we'll show them better than we could tell them, because I think the attitude of our city is one of resilience and the underdog team. So you know what? On second thought, let them think we feel. We'll show them at the end what we really are.
I think Houston is a team. I agree with you there in disarray. The addition of Eric Gordon, he won't play at the 2-guard position. He can't play one for you. What you're gonna have him as an expensive 6-man to come off the bench. Ryan Anderson is a good offensive forward. He shoots way too much, and he doesn't play in the defense. So you add those 2 castaways onto your squad, and you're thinking that's going to put you over the top. I think they got weaker. They kind of piecemealed that team. I don't know, with Dwight Howard splitting and going to Atlanta, his hometown team. James Harden wanted to be the man. He wanted to be the man on the team. Now he's going to be the man. I don't think that team's going anywhere with James Harden with that mindset. I think the Pels could be as high as 3 as well. I don't think Dallas is a team. I don't totally not sold on Harrison Barnes. Dirk Nowitzki's old as dirt, and so is Darren Williams. So I just don't think that they should be a team that should be better than us. But of course, that's what most writers do. They always tend to make you prove it, or better than them putting themselves out on a limb. But any quick takes on that, Swade? You want to talk about that rankings? You think they belong where they belong, or what?
Personally, man, and y'all know I love y'all, right? Y'all my boys, right? Right on. I still feel the same way about the Pelicans, man. And I love the Pelicans. They're just not showing me anything. And if they were to put them in, I'm glad they put them in last place. Don't give them any kind of leeway. Shut them down, put them in the basement, and make them fight themselves to the top, man.
Okay, that's fair.
All I can see.
That's very fair.
I'm sitting here looking at the rankings right now. As far as the whole NBA, they got the Spurs at 3, they got the Clippers at 4. Utah's at 7.
All right. Well, we wait. All right. So I mean, we.
I agree with your comments on one person, man. I think it's a great motivational tool for the Pelicans players. To see that they're 5th, and just teams, all our teams, man, they tend to respond very well when people just barely overlook them. And we kind of respond bad
Well, we definitely need to show them. Well, we definitely need to show them, and I appreciate y'all guys' comments on it. We're about to end the show today. I'd like to say thank you to all the people that's tuning in, that's supporting us, all of the countries that's listening to the show. Try us next time. We'll be back with Big Q and the guys on the Sports Comas. Thank you. Have a blessed night.